What's up guys, Mike here, the Detroit Borg, with a look at the 8-inch version of the Galaxy Tab 3 series. So we have the 7-inch, 8-inch, and 10-inch. The 7-inch starts off at $199, 8-inch starts off at $299, and the 10-inch starts off at $399. So the standard configuration gives you Wi-Fi plus 16 gigs. You can get a 32 gig version. We also have white or brown colors. I went with the white, not interested in the brown color. And we can get this in the cellular version. So you could buy a version that has an earpiece with cellular voice and data. So that's a version sold internationally. You probably won't find that too readily available in the US. We do have that IR blaster like all the Tab 3 series, so you can control your TV using an app called Watch On integrated into the device. So let's take a look at the specs, which are not terribly impressive here. So we have a 1.5 gigahertz dual core processor. This will play back full HD. It does record HD as well. This is running Android, the latest version 4.2.2, so it's also running the latest version of TouchWiz as well. We have a fairly large 4,450 milliamp hour battery. We have a 5 megapixel autofocusing camera. This actually has the best camera of the Note or the Tab 3 series. The others have 3 megapixel cameras. We have a 1.3 megapixel rear facing camera. We have 1.5 gigs of RAM, an improvement over the 1 gig of RAM in the 7-inch model. Now this 8-inch screen has a WXGA super clear LCD, so that gives us a resolution of 1280 by 800. That's good for a pixel density of 189, which is kind of low for tablets this day and age. Now this is a DLNA certified device, so it will broadcast audio and video to DLNA equipment. You can do that through the video and music player apps built into the device. We also have Dolby Digital Plus programming, which enhances audio quality over the stereo speakers, so this makes it an ideal media tablet. So let's go ahead and unbox this thing and take a look. So I'm just going to cut the tab here and slide it out. Got a little thumb port here. It's actually upside down. Let's flip it around here. Slide it out. Galaxy Tab 3 8-inch WXGA LCD screen, 1.5 gigahertz dual-core processor, Android OS, with the Watch On app to turn this into your home media remote control. Alright, so I'm just going to lift up here to grab our tablet. We're going to set this aside for just a moment while we take a look at the contents. Alright, so inside we have our micro USB charging cable. We also have our literature packet, which includes quick start guides, some promotional offers, some accessories, Samsung Watch On flyer, and here's our health and safety warranty guide in multiple languages. And we also get our USB wall adapter for charging our tablet. Alright, so let's go ahead and peel all this plastic off. So you can see we have our micro SD card slot right here, so we can expand storage up to 64 gigs beyond the 16 or 32 gig capacities you have included. Looks like our little camera protector already peeled off here. So let's go ahead and peel off the plastic on the back. We also have our front tablet here, our front panel here. Remove that. Alright, we also have all these strips of plastic along the side which we have to peel off. So with all the plastic off, we can take a look at the design. And the first thing that I notice here is that the similarly sized Note 8.0 has a wider bezel. This has a thinner bezel. This more resembles the iPad mini. We do have the same screen here, just a different form factor. So the Note 8.0 is actually a higher spec device, and we do have that stylus in here, which I've reviewed previously. This is more expensive, $399 versus $299 for the stylus-free version. So if you look at the iPad mini, again, you can see we have that smaller bezel here, but it is a taller display. Now if we look down at it, you can see the iPad mini is still wider, but the 8-inch Tab 3 is taller. Now in terms of the hardware, we have our 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera with an ambient light sensor. Down here we have our home button, menu button, and back button, which are in portrait orientation. Now up here, if you have the cellular with voice, you would have that earpiece there. So that's where they leave that spot open for that. Now if you look along the side, you'll find your IR blaster, your volume rocker, your power on and off button, as well as a microphone. So you can see we have this kind of metal-like plastic finish. It's not metal, it's all plastic. Along the bottom, you have these dual stereo speakers with Dolby programming for increased audio quality, micro USB port for charging. You also have your micro SD card slot, which pops out. You can insert your 64 gig card there. Now up top, we just have our headphone jack. Back here, you'll find your 5 megapixel camera with autofocusing. Now this is kind of a different orientation than the Note 8.0. So if we look at the Note 8.0 here, you can see that's placed toward the center and you have that big bump out for it. Now in terms of the materials used, this is very similar to the Galaxy S4. So we even have that glossy plastic with that sort of weave pattern to the back. So you'll see that in the back panel. This is a non-removable back panel. On the front you'll also see that weave pattern to the bezel surrounding the screen. Alright, so I'm just going to boot this up for the first time by tapping and holding the power button. This is running Android 4.2 with the latest version of TouchWiz. So you get the new Samsung splash screen. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the stock configuration. So here we have the lock screen, so you can swipe anywhere on the lock screen to wake it up. You even get that starburst effect we see with the GS4 and other TouchWiz devices. We have our volume controls here, so if you tap on your volume controls, you have more specific controls. Here's our home screen. We can pinch out to see all of our home screens. We can add new home screens, and we can change which one is home by tapping on that. So we hit home, goes to the new home screen. Pinch out again, let's select that. There we go. So this is the stock configuration. This is what you get when you set it up for the first time before you restored it or added your own apps. So let's go to our drop-down menu here. Drop down, here we go. So we get our notifications, which we can swipe out of the way to clear them. We also have clear all. You can also expand notification using that 2-finger gesture, which is an Android 4.1 feature. We have lots and lots of toggles up here, which reveal some of the features available here. You can also toggle between them by tapping up here. You can also use the 2-finger gesture to get to that. So if you're on the lock screen, whoops, let's try again. There you go. And you can quickly toggle any of these on and off. You can also edit what appears here or what order you have here. You can't remove them, but you can reorder them. Now, in terms of our basic controls, we have the home button, which takes us to the home screen. We have our menu button, which is contextual, and we have our back button. Now, if you do the long press on the home button, it takes us to our recent apps. This allows us to swipe them out of the way to close them, or tap on them to launch them. We can also clear them all, or we can go to Google Now. Google Now allows us to perform actions or to do searches, so let's do a basic one. What's the weather like tomorrow in Detroit?
Tomorrow's forecast for Detroit is 82 degrees and partly cloudy.
Now we can also bring up our task manager here on the left side. So you can see active applications, you can end them all. You can see downloaded applications, our RAM manager, storage, and help. Now we can also bring up S Voice by double tapping the home button. What's the weather like tomorrow in Detroit?
Here is the weather for Detroit, Michigan.
Alright, so that's an awesome sounding voice compared to Google Now. We also can get to Google Now by tapping and holding the menu button. What's the weather like tomorrow in San Francisco?
Tomorrow's forecast for San Francisco is 68 degrees and partly cloudy.
Now we have lots of apps here, including Group Play, which allows you to connect to other Samsung devices in close proximity to each other to share music, video, and games. I've shown that demo before. Game Hub, which is Samsung's game store, Gmail, Google Settings, Flipboard. So we still have Flipboard here. That's you find Flipboard installed by default on all TouchWiz devices. Chat On. We have Chrome. Alarm, calculator. What else do we have? We have the Memo app. We have Paper Artist, which we actually see a lot on the Note series, so you can also get that here. You just don't have the stylus built in. Now we also have S Translator here, so we can speak in one language and it will output in another language. We also have two apps for utilizing the IR Blaster to control our AV equipment. Watch On is the newer Samsung app, and we have the third-party Peel Smart Remote app. The Watch On app is probably more interesting here. It's more up-to-date. And it also features the capability of working with Samsung Smart TV, so not only can you control your TV with the Watch On app using the IR Blaster, but you can connect your TV to your tablet. Basically, whatever's broadcasting on your TV can be played on your tablet. So if you walk away with this, you can, in theory, take whatever's playing on your TV and take it with you around the house. So it's kind of interesting. We also have the Story Album feature. We have the screensaver, the S Planner, Polaris Office. So we have an Office suite, the standard Samsung video player, as well as the music player. Now, like all Samsung devices, you can easily switch between the home screen just by tapping on any one of them like that or using that little slider. You can also do that under the apps. You can pinch out to see them all, tap on them, or you can slide them back and forth. You also have your widgets here, so you can pinch out to see all your widgets and scroll through them. Now in terms of features, there are lots of them up here, and we can access them easily by dropping down here to get access to our quick toggles. We can also jump to our settings, but let me just show you some of them up here. So we have reading mode. Reading mode is interesting. It only works with certain apps like the Google Play Books app. So if I go to launch the Google Play Books app, with it toggled on, you can see it automatically changes the screen color for optimal reading conditions. And if I close the app, you'll see the screen change to a more standard configuration, which is a brighter bluer color. Also in that drop-down menu, we do have blocking mode, power saving mode, screen mirroring, multi-window mode, driving mode, smart stay, sync, and airplane. So we do have smart stay technology here. Basically, the camera is watching the presence of your eyes and will prevent the screen from going to sleep. Now, you don't have things like smart pause, air view, air gesturing, all of that stuff from the GS4 is not present on this device. Now, if you want to access the settings for any of these toggles, all you have to do is tap and hold on any one of them. So for example, if I want to go to my blocking mode settings here, just tap and hold it. Takes you to the settings panel. So if I enable blocking mode, I can control some of the things you can do with it. Basically, it turns off notifications. It's a particularly useful feature, something that stock Android does not have, which I actually really appreciate here. So you can turn off all notifications right now, or you can enable, let's go ahead and turn off notifications and enable it for certain times of day. So you can set it for 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. when you wake up in the morning. So basically, it'll automatically turn off your notifications so it won't wake you up at night. Now we also have multi-windowing mode, which we can enable from the drop-down menu. Right now it's enabled. So if we go to the home screen, tap and hold the back button, it enables the multi-windowing control panel here. So basically you get some apps that support multi-windowing, and you can hide that and it stays omnipresent here, so you can bring it out anytime you want. You can also move this from side to side. But let's just go ahead and launch Chrome. So we can launch Chrome and then we can launch another app. So for example, if we find YouTube here, just drop it into view. And so we can watch a video while we're navigating a website. So it's kind of nice.
What's up, guys? Mike here, the Detroit.
So there you go. This works in portrait or landscape mode. So you can see it has to adjust here. I'm going to have to click play again.
HTC One,
but you can adjust the size that the screen takes up. As you can see, it kind of interrupts the video every time you do that. But it works pretty well. And you can also switch between which side the app is taking up. You can also go to full screen mode, or you can close it. Now in terms of our camera here, this is also using the latest camera app you see with the latest version of TouchWiz, which also supports voice control. So for example, I can say, shoot. Takes a photo, so you can see we do have autofocusing here, so if you tap on any part of the scene, it all focuses for you, and also adjust the exposure. The camera looks pretty good, definitely a big improvement over the 7-inch tablet I just reviewed. So you can take a photo, you can also record video, and I guess you cannot take photos while recording video. You can pause it, record again, and stop it. Now we also have that mode selector here, which we've seen with the GS4. So for example, you can cycle between audio, night mode, sports, panorama, sound and shot, beauty face, etc. Now you don't have as many settings here as you get with the GS4, and you don't have the dual shot mode where you can record both the front-facing camera and the rear-facing camera in the same shot. Now you can also get to your filters here. You can see we have far fewer of them here. No effect, grayscale, sepia, and negative. You get far more with higher-end TouchWiz devices. Now in terms of screen quality, Samsung does a very good job. So even though it doesn't have the pixel density we've seen with higher-end tablets, this is kind of on the low-end side, the screen quality looks very good. So we have bright whites, nice off-axis viewing, deep contrast with bright, vivid colors. So you can see even if we zoom in all the way on the full The Verge website, you can see we can still read the small text, and of course you can pinch in and out. Performance is also pretty good here, so you can quickly scan through a web page and it loads pretty quickly and renders it pretty quickly. Now in case you're wondering about this thin bezel, similar to the iPad mini, the iPad mini has software which accounts for the presence of your thumb near the bezel because the bezel is so thin, but the Samsung does not have such software accommodations. So for example, if I'm scrolling through a page here, and let's say I rest my thumb sort of toward the side, you can see it automatically wants to zoom because it thinks I have 2 touch points here on the screen. Now just to give you an example, the iPad mini, place my thumb on the screen here and I can scroll up and down without zooming. So it sees only one point wanting to scroll, another point just sort of gripping the device. Now the settings view is pretty standard here. You can control your sound, your display. Of course, you have lots of options with Samsung. You even have Adapt Display with this device, which will automatically adapt the display for the ambient conditions, storage, power saving mode, battery. So you can see the battery status, you can see what apps are taking up battery usage. Power saving modes, if you want to control the power saving app or power saving selections, you can do that here. So you can enable CPU power saving and screen power saving, or choose one or the other. Application manager, location services, the lock screen. So with the lock screen, we can enable a variety of options here, which are turned off by default. So for example, we can have multiple widgets on the lock screen, which is an Android 4.2 feature. We can also enable shortcuts, so apps will appear on the lock screen and we can quickly access them by swiping up on them. We also have language and input. We have our backup settings here. We can also back up and restore Dropbox, Google, Samsung accounts. We can add an account. We have our motion control here. So we just have a few things here. So if we enable this, we can use the palm swipe to capture a screen grab. So if I just do this, let me try again. There you go, does a screen grab. We can also do the palm touch to mute or pause a video or audio. We also have voice control here, which I've enabled. Accessory, so we can change our accessory settings here, so the dock and the audio output mode. Date and time, accessibility, and about this device. And just to show you, this is running Android 4.2.2. Now let's just go back to that lock screen and take a look at some of the features I've just enabled. So for example, you can see when I swipe now, I get to the option to add a widget. So these are the lock screen widgets. So I can add a variety of predetermined widgets. So for example, one of my favorites is Google Now. So now if I go to my lock screen and swipe left, I get my widget. I can go ahead and add another one. So let's add the Gmail widget. So there you go. I have both Google Now and my Gmail widget. Now in terms of our Samsung keyboard, we have several options here. So if we tap and hold them, we'll get them. Now we do have a split keyboard here, which is great for tablets, specifically in landscape orientation. So basically, if you go to landscape orientation, you can now use your thumbs to type on either end. And you can also move it around up and down like this. You can tap and hold that again to get back to your standard configuration. So let's go to the full keyboard. We also have a floating keyboard. So if you just want to use one thumb to type, you can also do that. So it's within thumb distance. We also have a swipe keyboard, which we have to enable. If we go to settings here, you can enable Swift Key Flow. Click OK. If we go back to our keyboard, we can now swipe on that keyboard. We also have voice dictation. This is a test of voice dictation, period, which also works pretty well. Now we can also input using handwriting. So if you had a stylus or your finger, you can just basically write it in. Hello. Now in terms of performance, we score about 8,500 with Antutu on the 8-inch tablet. We scored about 7,000 on the 7-inch tablet. Now the Note 8.0, which is sporting a quad-core processor versus the dual-core, does score considerably better here at 13,500, but certainly both devices are well shy of the 24,500 of the GS4. So this is still a pretty low spec tablet, but it seems to be able to keep up with it anyway. Now Samsung also has a partnership with TripAdvisor, so they preload it with the TripAdvisor app, but they've also integrated the TripAdvisor wallpaper. So if we go to settings, we go to set wallpaper, go to our lock screen, we can set travel wallpaper. So if you click OK here, you do get some options. So you can change the interval at which time it refreshes. So you can do every 3 hours up to every 24 hours. So if you go to your lock screen, you'll get a destination with a corresponding photo. So in this case, New York City, the United States. And in fact, if you look up here in the upper corner, you'll see that TripAdvisor logo. Now in terms of audio, definitely sounds pretty good on this tablet. So you get some Dolby enhancement out of these dual speakers. So you get a more fuller sound, more of a surround sound effect. You also get quite a bit of bass. You can actually feel the device vibrating from the speakers. So it sounds pretty good. Definitely impressed overall with the speaker performance.
And all the while, we search for signs of our true enemy's return.
So in the end, I feel I can really get behind the Tab 3 8-inch model and recommend it. Performance is good, display looks great, and it's about the right form factor and size. So definitely the vote of confidence for me. So that's going to do for me in this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in my next video.